Welcome to the Shop Talk Magazine podcast. We are here at the CSMAs today with Aaron and Janie Sue Heizer. Tell us what you guys are doing here at the CSMAs.
So here at the Colorado Saddle Makers Association gathering, we were invited up to teach a class. So we taught a backpack class at the Pendleton Leather Show this year, and Matt Warner, who orchestrates a lot of the CSMA events, said that we really needed to try to come to this event, and so try it out. So
Matt does a great job, though.
He does.
I mean, he is like all over the place.
Yeah,
He's like got an energized bunny.
Yeah, I couldn't keep up with that guy if I
No,
tried.
absolutely not.
So, yeah. So we actually started our class this morning. We're on our lunch break now, and everything's going well. So
you guys are all the way out of Texas with Makers Leather Supply. Tell us a little bit about Makers.
So Makers Leather Supply, we're a leather craft store where you can buy supplies to do leather work. We get lots of people call or come in and like, oh, can you make me a holster? No. But every one of my customers could.
Yes.
So we try to be a one-stop shop for leather workers and have everything that someone would need, no matter if it's a tool or a particular type of leather or a pattern or design. We try to have a little bit of everything.
A lot of education.
Yep.
Education. So you guys are on YouTube and you teach a lot of things on there. How did that get going?
So it's actually kind of funny. A couple of years ago, I was talking to my good friend Don Gonzalez, who has a very successful YouTube channel, and he sells a lot of patterns and stuff. And I was talking to him, and he said something about he had 12,000 YouTube subscribers, and by the end of the year, he was hoping to have 20,000. And honestly, I was like, I asked him, what does that do? I don't understand why that's an important thing. And he's like, well, I mean, I teach on YouTube. He's like, when you need to learn something, where do you learn it? If you don't know a friend that knows how to do it. And I was like, well, I go to YouTube. He's like, so why aren't you teaching on YouTube? He's like, why aren't you teaching your customers that shop in your store? Why aren't you teaching them what you know on YouTube? And I was like, man.
We were doing that Monday live videos.
Yeah, so we weren't doing YouTube yet, but we had a segment we were doing on Facebook where we'd go live every Monday night, and we called it Ask Away Monday. And it was a really neat segment where we'd, for a couple hours, we'd sit live, and this was before the Tickety Talkety was the big live platform. But, so yeah, we'd do it on Facebook, and people could type in their questions and stuff, and Janie would read them to me, and I'd either answer them or demonstrate the answer or whatever. And it was really neat.
Some of those
you
are
were
still
there,
saved on our Facebook.
You were there in your shop with everything in front of you. You could show them how it was done.
I might have to walk across the room and grab a tool if they asked about something I didn't have right in front of me, but it was a great little program, and unfortunately life just got super busy, just like it does for everybody, and we weren't able to, we kept having to miss a Monday and then miss another Monday, and finally we were like, well, we're kind of letting people down by, we do this every Monday, and no,
and then we
really
moved.
don't.
We moved from Killeen to Elmont, so
yeah. So it was a lot of fun, but it was really hard to keep up with.
But they're still saved, I think, on our Facebook. Like our original ones.
If you scroll back on our Facebook videos and stuff, they're all still there. I mean, I don't know what happened one night. I guess you could say went viral. I mean, normally we'd have anywhere from 200 to 1,000 people watching at a time. And on this particular night, it was like 30,000 people. And Janie didn't even tell me, because she's the only one that can see the screen. She's like, well, I didn't want you to flip out or anything. So,
Because you know how Aaron gets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flustered all the time.
Yeah, you will.
Like if she'd have told me, then I'd have started stuttering a lot more and had a really hard time with it.
Yeah.
So,
we wouldn't have got any sentences out.
So, anyway. But we did have one super memorable video from back when we used to do that. Janie loves this story. So Janie was never in the frame of the camera during this show. She didn't like to be on the camera. She just wanted to, and they could hear her voice. And of course, we bantered back and forth quite a bit. And because she's mean. But
we'll talk about that later.
Anyway, so I don't remember what exactly cued this part of the conversation, but I said, oh yeah, well, that's really easy for you to be mean like that when you're holding that knife. And she's like, I am not holding a knife. And I looked dead at the camera and I said, no, really, folks, she's got a gun. And then the internet went out. So the
Oh,
video died.
no.
Yes.
Like that was it. That was
how
the
it
end of the
ended it.
video. And the
30,000
entire night
people.
long we were getting texts and phone calls asking if I was okay.
Can you believe
Because
that?
apparently people actually believe.
30,000 viewers are calling the cops.
They're like,
banging down the door.
they're like, are you hurt? Are you
So
hurt?
I was just like, I don't know if that's like a divine intervention or what. The internet just went out at that exact time. But even Janie was looking at the computer like, what? The video stopped. That was the last thing you said.
What have you done?
Yeah, and then he didn't make another video that said, hey, I was just joking. No, he let people think that. And I think that video's still out there too.
Probably.
Still floating over somewhere.
But one of our first YouTube videos, Aaron doesn't know how to edit, and that's okay. But he thought he paused it, and I had ordered pizza. We had his son, Tanner. Tanner's probably 4 or 5. And so he thought he paused it. Pizza gets there. We didn't pause it. So you can hear us for like an hour.
Like you can, 10
30
minutes maybe.
Yeah.
But you can see my workbench and everything like as if I was still there, but I'm just not there. We're off 5 feet to the left eating our dinner.
And so Tanner was mad that I ordered cinnamon rolls and not the brownie.
Oh, no.
And so you can hear me go, well, then you don't get cinnamon rolls now, do you?
He's like, but I wanted a brownie. She's like, then you can't have any cinnamon rolls. And it was just so funny. And
So
it's awesome because on that video, there's so many comments about, oh, well, if you'd learn how to edit, you could easily edit that out. But then on the exact opposite spectrum, there's so many people that are like, oh my God, y'all are a real family.
Yeah,
like that's the
absolutely.
same conversation that would have happened at our house.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it gets kind of funny sometimes.
It's fantastic.
It's never a dull moment. Anything we do, there's an epic fail somewhere along the way. It doesn't matter.
That's how you learn best.
Yeah. So that's, yeah.
Well, luckily, everybody can relate to that.
I mean, I don't care if it's a trip and I forgot our clothes or one of the ink or dye, what am I thinking?
I don't know. What are you
Display
thinking?
falls over in the
Yeah.
trailer and dye everywhere.
Yeah.
Or we went to deliver. Okay, I sold this container full of leather, and the guy said, "I'll buy it if you deliver it." I was like, "Okay, yeah, we'll do it."
He was kind of on the way home. It was from the
Yeah.
Wichita Falls show back to Waco. We were going to have to go maybe 30 minutes out of the way to deliver it to this guy.
And so we were like, Aaron's like, "Yeah, well, we get it delivered, and we need to turn around." And so Aaron's going to turn around in this guy's pasture. And I was like, "Do not do that. Don't do that." And Aaron's like, "It's fine, it's fine, it's fine." So he did that, and we get home, and what was it the next day?
The next day we parked the truck at the shop and took my other vehicle home. And the next morning I went up there to unload the trailer, and there was a giant shank of a screwdriver just sticking out of the tread of my tire. And I mean, I don't know how it didn't pop it or whatever, but the only thing we can think of is it had to have been picked up in that fella's field that she's like, "Don't turn around there."
So this is Aaron never listening.
Have you started listening yet?
No, God no.
He drove
I'm not
us
gonna
through a
start now.
tornado.
Oh, goodness.
Through
Yeah.
a tornado.
We we were on our way to the Wichita Falls show, and we really like the Wichita Falls show because we like to go just north of the border into Oklahoma and go to the casino that's right there. It's a small Comanche Nation casino. It's awesome. We have a lot of fun there. And anyway, we dropped off our trailer and on the Wednesday evening, and we knew that the weather was going to get bad. And we're driving north, and I'm like, well, we have to stop for fuel. And I come out of the paying for the fuel at the gas station, and I look up, and there's the most magnificent wall cloud you've ever seen. And I pointed out to Janie, and she's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Well, the weatherman calls that a wall cloud. You know, like that's what happens before this just goes nuts here and a tornado happens." She's like, "Oh my gosh, should we go the other way?" And I'm like, "No, we can beat this."
Because we're in the big F1,
Yeah, we're in the big F-350 truck.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we can beat this. We'll be north of it before it hits, or we'll be indoors before it hits.
See, I
But
would
either
just
way,
think
we're gonna.
that's more surface for it to
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
Well, luckily the trailer was off the truck, so that helped.
So here I am believing in my husband.
Yep. And what do you know? We're still alive. So
Barely.
Anyway,
Barely.
we got on this little road that goes to that casino, and we're chugging along, and the weather's just getting worse and worse by the second. And I mean, literally you cannot see the bumper guard on the front of the truck. And so we're at maybe 5 miles an hour just crawling, trying to get to this, try to get to this casino. And then it got even worse.
Which is only a mile down the road.
Yeah, like you can't, now we're at the point you can't even see on the other side of the glass. Like there could be someone standing a foot from it, and I don't think you'd have been able to see it because the rain and the wind and the hail, I mean, it was
the truck starts
ugly.
moving.
Yeah, the truck was moving around a little bit.
So when this started, I said, Aaron, are we going to be okay? And he said, yes. And then towards the end, I said, Aaron, are we okay? And he said, maybe. And I knew at that moment that, you know.
So anyway, and then the funny thing is, like, we're still trying to crawl along just as slow as we can. I'm like, we need to get to this place. You know, I don't want to be caught in the middle of the road here, you know. For all I know, some idiot's driving through this and they're going to hit us,
Some
you know.
idiot's driving through this. Yeah.
Well, we weren't really driving anymore.
Yeah.
But so I told her, I was like, hey, bring up the casino on Google and see where it is. And she's like, it's right there. Like, we're here.
But you couldn't see the
You
lights.
just have
You
to
couldn't
turn
see
left.
nothing. Nothing.
Wow.
And
So-
there's just so happened there was this break, like this little 2-second break, and you could see the driveway. And I was like, turn in, turn it now.
So yeah, that was one of the more memorable days on a way to or from a show.
Yeah.
Great. So you guys have this big viewership with your YouTube. You guys are moving heaven and earth to get to shows all over the country.
Yes, yeah, that's
Trying
true.
to.
So a lot of our readers of the magazine, a lot of our viewers on Loom, the learning platform, and on our YouTube channel are just at the beginning. They're in their basement or they're in their shop out back. Tell us how you guys started and how all this evolved.
So I started doing leather work when I was in the Army still. I used to ride motorcycles a lot, and I could not afford a nice set of saddlebags at the store. I mean, they were hundreds of bucks, and I didn't have hundreds of bucks. I was just a young soldier, you know. And anyway, so I started kind of piddling with leather and thought, I'll just make them myself, you know. And anyway, a couple of years went by, and I mean, now through leather work, I've made lots of other people's saddlebags, but I'd still never even made myself a pair. But now I'm doing so much leather work that I could just afford to buy me a set if I wanted. And
We don't want it.
yeah, so anyway, I did leather work throughout the rest of my career in the military. I mean, no matter where I went, I took at least a bag full of tools, whether it was Baghdad or Guantanamo Bay or wherever I was living that year. I retired in the end of 2014, I guess it was. And I opened me a little downtown shop where I wanted to do custom work and maybe sell a couple of supplies on the side. And about that time is when Chris Andre, he actually started Maker's Leather Supply. He was just selling a couple of holster making. He sold the blue guns and the pattern packs, and that was about it. And
Slick bald.
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, it was growing bigger than what he had wanted it to, and he felt like it was detracting from, you know, he does a lot of private teaching and stuff like that. And so he was selling the business, and I really liked the name the most, you know, Maker's Leather Supply. I thought that was a great name, and it was already kind of established. He'd been doing it for a few years, and a lot of folks knew, you know, where to get their blue guns and holster making patterns and stuff like that. So I was like, that's something that I could continue. At the time, I didn't really plan on growing it much. My thought was, I could run that business as kind of a side gig out of my closet in the back of my shop, and it'll be fine, you know. And anyway, soon after I retired from the Army, I was living in Kansas still. I thought when I retired, I was like, well, I've got a lot of friends here and everything, and I'll just stay here. And it came October, November time frame. It started to get cold again, and I was like, what in the world am I still doing in Kansas? So I moved back to Texas. And again, I was doing custom work mainly. At the time, I partnered up with Clay Miller, the tool maker.
Sure.
And we were both doing custom leather work, and he was making tools, and Maker still wasn't much. I think by that time I was selling a little bit of Wicked Craig leather. I had started selling a little bit of like paints and dyes, you know. Basically, if anybody bought supplies from me, there would just happen to be a local leather worker that knew I was there, and if they needed something in a pinch, they'd come get it. But the more I did the custom leather work, the more it just wasn't fun for me anymore. I mean, my build queue on holsters, that was my primary thing, was a lot of holsters. my build queue was months long, and anybody that does custom work knows that all the phone calls that come with that, you can tell somebody that your build queue is 4 months long, and that's fine. Good work takes time. We understand. And what do you know
2
if on
weeks later.
Tuesday they're
Yeah.
not calling to ask how their project's coming along?
They understand for about 2 weeks at a time.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of expressed to Janie how I was getting kind of fed up with that type of stuff, and I really just didn't even want to do it anymore. I was like, maybe I should just go get an actual job again and just kind of work for the man, I guess. And Janie was like, well, you've started to get a name for yourself in the leatherworking world for, a little bit of teaching, stuff like that. And she's like, why don't we do something with the supplies and you can try to teach more? And man, that just sounded great. And from there, it just blew up.
Like from that day.
That's one of those, like, there we were staring at the right answer the whole time, just not realizing it. And then all of a sudden we get on that path and it's like, oh, this is what we should be doing with our lives. So it's really worked out for us.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. He took me to my first show. I think we had been dating just a couple of months. And I knew nothing. So, but the only thing I did know was I like turquoise dye. I like that color. I sold the crap out of that. Like, I sold everything we had to switch colors. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
He took you along, not to go and see, but to sell for
Yeah. No, I
Okay.
was
Well, I
free
mean,
help.
It's a leather show.
Free
You're going to
help.
walk around it as long as you want, and then you're going to be like, okay, I guess I'll sit in the booth for a minute.
Yeah.
So,
I had a lot of fun.
yeah. But the funniest thing was that, she came up to me about a week before we were leaving. She's like, I've got the perfect outfit
Oh,
picked
no,
out.
don't, Aaron.
And so I'm like, well, let's see what you got, babe. So she brings up some boots that, they were okay boots. Store-bought boots, no problem. And then she brings up this belt. This bling-blingy, like, oh my gosh, the rhinestones and crystals. And
That was my
crap
single girl
all
belt,
over this
okay?
belt.
That was bringing all the boys to the yard.
Yeah.
That was my belt.
And I was like, what is this atrocious thing that you've set in front of me? She's like, that's my favorite belt. I'm like, well, you're going to have a new favorite belt before we go to this show.
I've never seen that belt again. Like, I think he threw it away.
So I didn't have time to
Do
like,
the free products keep coming?
yeah.
so I didn't have time to like hand tool her a belt, but I made her a really nice one out of like some embossed gator, just
That's
a
really
nice,
pretty. I still have it.
nice belt. I was like, this one will be just fine. And I won't worry about being seen in public with you if you have this.
I mean, he really just like thrashed my belt.
Oh.
Like hurt my feelings, trashed it.
It's kind of funny because when people introduce themselves to me and they tell me that they're a leather worker, the first thing I do is look at their belt. And if they're not wearing a belt that they made, it doesn't have to be all hand tooled and all that. But if it's not a belt they made, I'm like, okay, you're going to have to prove to me you're a leather worker, I guess. And the funny thing was when I started working with Clay Miller, it was the same way. He didn't even wear a belt. And I said that
You
to
didn't
him.
want to be judged.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, just so this is what my thought on it, and it's not a judgmental thing as much as I'm just like, aren't you wearing something you would have made, And so Clay sat down, and he's a very, very good floral tooler, like way better
he
than
is
me.
amazing.
And he tooled out this beautiful filigreed belt, and then I'm like,
Didn't he use that green behind
yep,
it?
it had
it
a
was
green,
gorgeous.
like a green foil leather on behind it. I mean, it was just absolutely gorgeous. And I'm like, crap. Now your belt's way better than my belt.
Right.
So anyway,
Great. So what part do you play in Leather Maker Supply?
Well, so I write the paychecks, that could take a week to get done. That's a lot. But
7 minutes. It takes her
7
7
minutes.
minutes to run weekly payroll.
But
anyway,
I do a lot of support for Aaron, as in when Aaron gets frustrated, I keep him on the path. If his head gets too big, like his ego, I pop it down so it fits through the door. I'm real good at that one. And then I do a lot with our schools, trying to push the FFA, go into the teachers FFA. And then we have a lot of school programs, which we actually hired a coordinator for that. And that's wonderful. And then I get to keep the baby, keep the grandkids, keep everything in line.
And of course, do podcasts.
Yeah. Here I am. I like to listen to true crime, little murder mystery.
Same.
That kind of worries Aaron. kind of worries him, but he's okay.
She's studied long and hard on the perfect way to, dispose of me, I guess. And so, yeah, I have to make sure I'm still useful.
Okay, so I was upping our life insurance policy, and the guy calls Aaron or sends Aaron a message, and Aaron's like, "Are you upping our life insurance?" I was like,
She didn't bother telling me. So I get a call from a life insurance company talking about, oh, we need to do your initial interview and this and that. And I'm like, what?
I'm like, well, we have more bills now. The kids are older. We've got more, we're just going to up it. I didn't know they were going to call him. That was a little weird conversation.
They probably started doing that after all these true crime podcasts came
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Yeah, because Aaron knows I'm into it. And I love the Hallmark Mystery Channel.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to circle us back to the CSMAs.
Yes.
So we're here. We're actually in a couple different locations. We're here this is the Burns 1876 shop. We're here in Central Utah. And a couple blocks over, we've got the saddle shop. We've got a couple classes going on. We've got your bag class. We've got a tooling class and a belt class. We have Barry King here and a few others.
Mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of these classes, these events? They happen all over the country each year, and I know we're all heading to Prescott and then Sheridan and then the Shop Talk show at Pendleton later on this year.
Yep.
But tell us about the show and what it offers people.
So at the shows, it's really a unique opportunity for folks to come to those shows, and they get to take classes with someone that might be, a subject matter expert, I guess, in whatever they're doing, whether it be holster making or tooling or whatever that project might be. So it's a really good opportunity for folks, no matter if they've been doing leatherwork for a really long time or, just kind of starting out, because there's a very diverse level of classes. I mean, again, if even beginners have something to learn at these. And
so you don't have to own your own company to come to these shows.
Right.
No.
So it's not, when we use the term trade show at a lot of these shows, and that does scare people away. They think that, I'm not a buyer for my company, I'm just standing in my garage doing leatherwork, but no, that's exactly who it's geared for. The trade show part of it is a lot of retail companies, tool makers, things like that, and Makers Leather Supply and Barry King and lots of others that they come, and basically we bring our store to the customers at those, and it just makes it a lot easier to be able to kind of look around and not only maybe get the supplies you need, but even see things you didn't know existed, particular tools that you didn't know were out there or whatever. There's quite a few antique tool dealers that they take old tools. Yeah, Bruce Johnson's one of them, and they take old tools and they recondition them, and they're good to go for another 100 years.
I bought one as for a candy tray,
Yeah,
which Bruce knew.
A nail cup to use as a candy.
Yeah, I told him what I wanted, and he found it for me. It was great.
So anyway, but no, the shows are an awesome opportunity for all that. And then also, I mean, it's a giant gathering of people that share a similar interest.
And you get to talk to people that you only see like once a year.
Yeah.
And maybe the first time you see them. People come up to us all the time. They're like, oh, we watch you on, the internet, blah, blah, blah. They know our life, but we don't know theirs. So we get to meet them and talk to them. It's really fun.
It's really funny. I try to remember back when I went to my very first show, and I got to meet some of these guys that maybe I'd seen them in a video, maybe I'd only heard of them, but I didn't, guys like Barry King, and anyway, so it was just so awe-inspiring. And then just last year, we took one of our newer employees with us to Sheridan, and we were sitting at a big table at dinner at a steakhouse there. A leather machine company invited us, and there was quite a few people represented at the table. But then Bob Beard and his crew come in and sit down at the table. The new guy looks at me. He's like, Bob Beard just sat at a table with us.
Yeah,
he
did.
Yeah. And if you want to go over there and talk to him for a minute, he'll probably tell you what his favorite drink is.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's really neat because I haven't met anybody in the leather industry that's not just such a likable person. And, people that you would think might be unapproachable because, that's a hero in my eyes, super approachable folks, and so easy to talk to, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you get to meet the people on the internet, or even when they, write a really cool article.
They do.
Yes, we actually made a shop talk one time. What was it? 3 years ago? 2
Probably
years ago?
about 3 years ago, we were
It's
we
the
were
one
featured
with
in
the
Shop Talk.
John Wayne.
Had John
It
Wayne
was
on the
the
cover.
best one they ever made. That's what I heard.
It's right up there.
Yeah.
And you just wrote an industry tip coming out next month.
Yep.
You talk a little bit about being able to walk away and how that can sometimes make you better at your job.
Yep.
Would you like to expand on that before the readers see it in the magazine?
I can. One of the things I wish I'd realized years ago before I let leatherwork stress me out. I mean, this is supposed to be fun. If you've chosen to do this for a living, and this is how you pay your bills, then you've still got to make it fun. You've still got to make it enjoyable, because you want to enjoy your job. Otherwise, why are you doing it? Why just do the daily grind until you die? So my admission for the article was that it's okay to walk away. If you get stressed out, if there's a certain piece that you're working on that just every time you turn around, something's wrong with it or something's going, step away from it. Move on to something else for a day or two, or 10 minutes even, You don't have to sit there and stress about that one thing when there's so much other stuff you could be doing. And I mean, my big motivator when I feel really stressed out about what's going on at Makers, or I need to get, this done or that done, and I'm not able to because I just can't concentrate or whatever it is, there's always some sort of a new project in the back of my mind that I'm wanting to make. And if I just sit down and take a day and make that project, then that just kind of re-energizes me and gets me all excited again, and then I can take on anything.
Like a wiener dog purse. What?
Someone wants me to make her a wiener dog purse.
I've been asking for years.
I see the wiener dog socks.
It's the love.
She's wearing a wiener dog shirt.
I'm wearing a wiener dog shirt.
Easily distracted by wieners.
Yeah, I am. But I'm just saying, I give him projects. You don't do them.
But reintroduce the creativity.
Exactly. Yep. Bring it back in.
Okay.
Like he would go take a class at Jim Linnell's back in the beginning, and that would just, re-spark that love for making things. And, it would just rejuvenate you. So that's another good thing about the shows. Like if you're feeling, like, oh, maybe I don't want to do this anymore, go take a class.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody new.
Yeah.
You go to the shows and you see some of the stuff that, either somebody's carrying it around, or maybe they have a contest there where there's lots of entries of some of the top leather workers in the world. Like, you will walk away one of two ways: either extremely inspired and can't wait to be better, or, oh my gosh, I wonder how much money I could get for my tools.
Yeah. One or the other.
Either way, you're walking away with something gained.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. But I mean, really, because I do the same thing. I feel like I really love the level I'm at with my leather work, but I'm always wanting to improve. But when I walk around the World Leather Debut in Sheridan every year, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I haven't even scratched the surface, So.
And Aaron does a lot of construction. So he's really teaching you how to construct a bag, how to construct the backpack is what you're doing right now.
Yep.
And that video for that, you can only watch it through
the Illume platform.
Yep. Correct.
Yes.
And which we love that because, Aaron's videos, love you, honey. His YouTube videos are not like as professional. Where y'all's come in and it's like right there.
Yeah, so
professional studios and we put your patterns and all the things you need on the platform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyone can come in and do it just along with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm creating my own video in my show, I don't have a cameraman. I don't, I try to adjust what I'm doing so that the camera that's sitting on a tripod can see it, and it's not always doesn't work. Or maybe I've got an overhead camera on me and I'm doing my work, and then I look over at the screen and I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm not even on camera.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot to the production value of what Illume is doing. And, I mean, really, really good camera footage, and then the editing that goes into it and all. One of their camera guys is a guy named Derek, and some people find him hard to get along with when they're filming with him, but
I think he's amazing.
I think he's just as good as it gets.
Yes.
So.
Well, I wouldn't say that too loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep that on the down.
Down.
So he's probably like me. You're not supposed to stroke his ego out loud.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
No, we're going to have to deflate that. But, you know.
That's 30 minutes. We can be done now.
Mission
You guys can go ahead and wrap it.
mission
Okay.
accomplished. Has it really been 30 minutes? Oh, wow. Y'all talk too much.
No, we talked perfect. Did you? Talked perfect.
We didn't talk near as much as you today, Aaron.
Yeah, you did
Maybe
perfect.
next time
I
we'll.
was just trying to keep you from having to.
I appreciate you guys being on the show.
This is you. This is you. All this is you in here, right?
Well, I have a lot of help.
Yeah.
But yes.
Okay.
Anyway,
Right on.
I appreciate you guys being part of the podcast today. And you got to go wrap up your class.
Yep.
Yes.
Time to get back to class, but we
Okay.
appreciate you having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, good luck with the rest of your day.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.